Intro Skippers with Kim and Jason. I am Kim.
I am Jason.
Yes, logically that must be the case, and today we are discussing Hollywood's biggest night.
Anyway.
I thought you'd have an original song, but okay.
Nope. Because there's nothing original about the Oscars. It's the 97th one.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
And then we will be talking about a film we planned to talk about before the Oscars happened, and then it only won one award, The Substance.
It got nominated for a lot more, though, so.
It did. And it's streaming, technically, on Mubi. If you get a 7-day free subscription, you may watch that, along with a 30-minute behind-the-scenes special, also airing on Mubi. I believe I read that they had obtained that after Universal passed because they found the ending, quote, disgusting. And Universal, you messed up. I really liked this movie, and that's why one of the reasons why we chose to talk about it more in depth today. And we'll get to it after this. So I went to an Oscars party. And yeah.
Cool. The governor's ball? Or?
No, just someone's house.
Oh, okay.
I'm a regular person-ish, mostly. And yeah, I had to watch the highlights again because, hey, no shade, but my friend has a lot of friends who are giant blowhards and talked the whole time. Anyway.
I mean, we are in Hollywood. Mm.
All right, cool. You know a lot. You're the best. And yeah, so I had to rewatch a lot. And it was, you didn't watch the show live, right?
I watched it like a few hours later.
Okay.
Because I was actually on somebody else's podcast live during the Oscars.
Who does that?
It was called Bad Movies Live, which was even more ironic. We were watching one of the worst movies of all time called
You weren't even watching the Oscars?
No, I was watching a horrible movie, and then I watched the Oscars.
I have to talk to the scheduler of this podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, I generally enjoyed it.
I did too. I love Conan O'Brien. He's kind of...
Conan is my man.
Yeah.
Not in a sugar and spice kind of way. If you know, you know. But he is one of my favorite celebrities. If I could choose to meet a celebrity, it would probably be him.
I think and I know that we're technically I'm Gen X and you're millennial, but I think that for both our generations, he was kind of our comedy voice in a lot of ways.
He still is, man.
Yeah, of course. But I just mean growing up, he was the guy that we would watch.
Conan is still relevant, even if late night talk shows aren't.
They really aren't.
They aren't.
Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, I'm not. But in this, Conan O'Brien took us back to why he was the best of the late night talk show hosts and current podcast hosts. He also has a travel show for HBO Max. And I really enjoyed it. It took me back. He used his trademark self-deprecating yet also full of himself humor.
Right.
And there were moments where he made jokes about, let's say, Drake. Let's say...
Yeah, whoa.
Well,
even the opening was, I thought, a little racy for the Oscars, don't you think?
Maybe. I still thought it was a little weak. But that's what I expect, which is to appeal to many people. I feel during the night that the only people who really addressed, what a real life world occurrence that matters were the people who accepted the award for No Other Land.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated that very much. I did notice that people didn't know if they were supposed to clap or cheer.
Right.
So I saw some hands in pockets. And yeah, I mean, the way I view art is it's more important than ever when things suck. And things suck.
Yeah.
And art is not just escapism to me. It is a commentary on the world we live in, and adding voices to the discussion about real world atrocities, real world events, And there's so many uses for art. I mean, you could just say escapism, but it's not just escapism. It's incredibly important, especially when we're in a world of chaos and flux. And I think that is very much now. So I did appreciate that. I did appreciate Conan making his jokes. I didn't think they went as hard as they could have, but I have to keep in mind I'm a little bit not the average sampling of the Oscars audience.
Right.
So I have to keep my wants in check. And I think he largely did deliver.
And I think not only did he have to do jokes for America worldwide, he had to do it worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
So not, he had to do it for 1 billion people across the planet.
Yeah.
So I think they have to think of every joke and analyze it and make sure it's gonna work on all those levels.
Well, I mean, the way he sent up Carla Sofia Gascon was pretty funny without making her the butt of a joke,
Right.
of an easy joke, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
The movie was controversial because I think many Mexican people were not happy about it. Many
right.
trans people were not happy about it. And people who just are outside those groups, there's no pleasing.
Right.
And
right.
I'm not saying there's no pleasing them. I'm saying this movie did not please most people.
Fair.
In the way that it represented people.
Yeah. Well, you're filming it in France, and it's supposed to take place in Mexico, and there's just a lot of problematic choices that they made all along the way.
Well, they did do for best cinematography and costumes. They had 5 people present each award,
Right.
and it was people representing the movies that they were nominated.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be like Bowen Yang
For
complimenting Wicked's costumes, and then that ultimately won, which was great. And I wish they would do that for the other categories with an individual nominee, but I think they didn't do it because of Carla.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I think so. I don't know. We'll see what they do next time, and if any of the nominees in any of the acting categories are just horribly presented to the world. Let's just say that. I don't have lawyers like Conan said he did after the Drake joke, so I gotta be careful on how I say, well, I could get a lawyer. Okay, don't come at me. Anyway.
Let's just avoid that altogether.
I noticed there were very few trailers in the commercials.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There were lots of ads for Prudential.
And they ran the Rolex ad twice.
Wow.
Yeah, but we just got the amateur and ballerina, really. Previously, we'd gotten more. And what I didn't expect was a movie I hadn't seen, Sweeping, and I have
Right.
to change that this week.
Same. I haven't seen that movie
I
either.
haven't seen Anora.
Yeah, me neither. That was like one of the ones I skipped.
Well, I guess I can't spoil it because I didn't see it.
We can't.
I didn't do that well on my Oscar guessing the winners ballot,
Oh, really?
and that was when I messed up for pretty much across the board, except for, I think, screenplay. I was like, that one will get it. Yeah, the awards were pretty much dominated by Anora first, Brutalist second, and not really sprinkled around. I think in some years, even recently, it's been, well, I mean, say for Parasite's year, more sprinkled around and, sharing the love.
Right.
But I now I just see a few movies dominating.
Yeah. Well, there were some. I mean, Conclave won Best Adapted Screenplay, right? There's an Anora Substance connection. Do you know the connection? I don't know if anyone...
No. What is it?
So Margaret Qualley, who played Sue,
Yes.
she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Mikey...
Madison?
Mikey Madison. They were both members of the Manson family in that movie.
I don't know if that's a connection. This is like a Kevin Bacon connection
Okay,
game.
so fine.
Those two actors work together. I don't know, man.
Those movies are what launched their careers. It was even said that night that if Mikey Madison wasn't in Once Upon a Time, that she wouldn't have been in Anora.
I've seen them both in other things, but I think I know what you mean, where
Okay.
it's a bigger launch to cinema in particular, because I've definitely seen them both in streaming shows,
Okay.
and they are very good, or they were very good because I was in the past. Something that confused me, it was the tribute to James Bond, and I don't know why they did it.
Oh, Yeah, that's weird. And they talked about James Bond several times throughout the night. Do you think that was actually a purchased tribute?
I asked that out loud at the Oscars party I was at because we know that Amazon has control of James Bond. Conan made a joke about it earlier on. And
he kind of made a big joke about it. So was that a sponsored joke?
I don't know. So I don't know why this happened. I do know the Broccoli family was honored with...
For inventing broccoli?
No.
Oh, okay.
Stop it. Stop bringing that up.
Oh, all right.
They were honored with the Thalberg Memorial Award last November, but it was such a strange thing to have a tribute to James Bond in a year where there's no James Bond. It's not a Bond year.
Yeah.
So I thought this was going to maybe end in an announcement like, this is the new James Bond, and it didn't.
Right. I know. I wonder if maybe, okay, a couple of things. Maybe it was planned, and then whoever they decided was James Bond, they rescinded on that, but it was too late to cut that, or it was just a big play by Amazon to keep James Bond in people's minds.
It's either Amazon doing this for a positive reason or the Broccoli family doing this for a negative reason as an in memoriam to James Bond.
Like they're going to kill it or something?
Like, we sold it. We don't have control anymore. Bond is dead.
Like broccoli that you keep in your fridge too long?
Stop it.
All right.
I'm going to kill you. No, but it was so weird. Why do this? I did like that Lisa was there on White Lotus Sunday of all Sundays, but still, it was baffling. It was a strange choice, and it makes me wonder because when we get to the end of the show with the top awards, top acting, top directing, best picture, everybody's speeches are getting hurried along. Except Adrian Brody, who just would not shut up. Maybe this is the antithesis of my point I'm making right here. But anyway, stop wasting time in the middle and you don't have to hurry along the people who are getting the biggest awards of the night or the biggest honors of the night.
I did notice this was the first time in a long time that they didn't sing every nominated song.
I know.
Usually they do.
Well, I'm going to just say I didn't care for any of the nominated songs, original songs. Obviously
I'll
the choice...
I'll be sure to tell my composer friends that wrote them that.
Well, sorry.
I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, you and the singer of...
Oh, right, when she tried to get everyone to sing along.
She was trying to start a sing-along. People weren't having it.
No, they weren't
And that was
it.
the one time where I would say, yeah, cut that faster. The orchestra overall did a pretty good job. I'll just say that.
They sort of when she started singing that, they kind of played along, didn't they?
One of them looked really uncomfortable. One of them did play along.
Okay.
The men with her. It was, everyone groaned at the party I was at for that moment, which is please don't sing. Please stop that. I don't remember El Mal because I don't remember any songs from Emilia Perez.
I don't either because I didn't see it, but...
I was more interested in the score nominees, to be honest, if we're going with music. The Brutalist had a pretty damn good score, and it did deserve to win.
I'm glad it won.
Wicked is hard to ignore.
Then again, though, it's for best original score,
It's
right?
not. Yeah, that's
And
fair.
so
A
Wicked-
lot of that is reused. A lot.
Yeah.
Well, then The Wild Robot, which was my dark horse,
I know you like that movie a lot.
the music is moving.
Really? Okay.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
I need to see it. I haven't seen that one either.
Well, it's streaming now.
Okay.
Hey,
that's what our show's about. Oh, don't skip the intro.
Of the movie, which you can't.
Okay.
It's only for series. Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
Shut out of most awards.
Yeah.
I wonder if they think a Lord of the Rings thing is happening with Return of the King, and they're saving it for that because that is famously what happened with the second movie of that trilogy.
True.
Here's the thing. The third Dune book is crazy. It is not triumphant like Lord of the Rings. It is really weird, and I don't think the voters of the Oscars know this. It's not happening, man. This was the slot.
Do you know I was at a fan Oscar party for Return of the King, and the whole cast and Peter Jackson and everybody showed up after, and I actually touched one of Peter Jackson's Oscars that he was holding as he like went by me.
You're going to say something worse, but good for you.
I touched an Oscar.
Leave Oscar alone.
It was good luck.
That's cool. That's cool, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to see Anora now.
We have to. And we have to.
An embarrassment in my mind.
We better do an episode on it, too. Like
soon. Only if it's streaming. It's not streaming.
I thought it was on Amazon.
I mean, you pay for it.
No, I thought you could just watch it on Amazon.
I don't think it is.
Oh, all right. We'll watch it. We'll do an episode on it. And then once it streams worldwide, then we'll put out our episode. How about that?
Okay.
By the way, as a voiceover artist, I found it really interesting that Nick Offerman was the announcer.
I like that he pretended he didn't know how to say Amy Poehler's name.
That was great. That was great. Because usually it is somebody from the voiceover community that is the announcer. So I was a little bit like, I love Nick Offerman, but I know someone.
I know. It's the classic thing. Hosting, which is a field I'm in, is difficult now because what'll happen is a celebrity will just do it. Right. I didn't expect to have a little crisis. Let's go back. So no clips for supporting actors. Instead, we had Davine Joy Randolph and Robert Downey Jr. just praise the nominees individually, one by one. Yeah. I would have loved to seen clips for that.
It was an interesting choice. I kind of dug it. Like it was cool to see their take on it, on each actor and actress, but I'm with you. I mean, they're always trying new things. Thank goodness they didn't give out awards in the audience this year. Remember that from a couple of years ago?
I sure forgot.
For some of the technical awards,
that sucks.
They made people stand like in the aisle. It was terrible.
No, that's demeaning. I don't like that. Anyway, Flo had a huge night. Yeah. Beating out Disney, Pixar, beating out DreamWorks with probably the best DreamWorks movie ever made, I would say.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
I would put it there.
Considering they put out all the Shreks.
I like it more than the Shreks.
Okay.
We wanted to keep this part short, though, because episode 2 was really long, and that might have not been great. So we're going to keep it shorter and just say that I predicted all of the acting winners except for Best Actress. I expected Demi Moore to take it.
Me too.
And instead we got Mikey Madison. I cannot speak to Madison's performance because I didn't see it, and so I won't. Yeah. But I did think this was Demi's year to get her flowers. However, I don't subscribe to the idea that that's it for her, because there is a little bit of a narrative going around that was pretty much, oh no, that was her only chance. And I don't agree.
No, I think this is a relaunch of her career.
Yeah, I think she's back. And I hope that she will continue to turn in amazing performances. And I think that one day she will get that Oscar. Yeah. She did get plenty of other acting awards, though, this year.
Well, she won a SAG award, which is her peers. And I think that is really a great. It's not even a consolation prize in a lot of ways.
It's like a big award.
It's your peers and only your peers saying you were the best.
I wonder if the votes got split, to be honest.
I don't know.
It's hard for me to know.
You mean like in the Oscars?
Yeah.
It's possible.
I think it very much is, but I can't say so. So that's just my own speculation. Though I do think Demi's not done. Okay, let's ignore what the message was, and that women are over and done when they reach a certain age. She's not.
If anything, the message of that movie, I hope, is to show people that they're not done.
Exactly. So now let's talk about the substance.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a clear cut.
Is it?
Is it? That's where we would put an ad if we had an ad.
Okay. Oh, you know what? In a way, we do have an ad. Could I say it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have an ad, but as a musician, I'm sponsored by Lewitt Microphones. And I have to say that they donated these 2 microphones that we're using now. I believe they're called the Ray. and it's specially designed for podcasts.
Amazing.
So thank you to Lewitt Microphones for donating these mics for us.
Thank you, Lewitt. Okay, that was the end of our ad. All right, now we are talking about The Substance. I mentioned it off the top, but you can stream The Substance on Mubi with a free 7-day trial with Mubi, and you can access the 30-minute featurette that they made for The Substance.
Which I haven't seen. Have you?
The featurette?
Yeah.
No.
I want to know what's going on.
I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was such a strange Oscar movie, but at the same time, I'm glad it was there. And again, I do think it was Demi's award to lose, Best Actress, but we're not talking about that anymore. We've exhausted that now.
No, once you're nominated, you've won. That's how I look at it.
Sure. Then I've won many awards.
You've won so many.
Oh, okay. Well, I wrote a little synopsis because last time we did The White Lotus, I went for really long. So now this is one paragraph, if you'll allow me.
Please, by all means.
The Substance is a movie that is weird, fantastical, over the top, and in a world set out of time. Speaking of time, this movie is very much about that, which is the scariest part. In a relatable, not fantastical, nor over-the-top way, this movie is about Elizabeth Sparkle, played by Demi Moore, being thrown out, disregarded, and devalued because of her age. Her character is an Oscar winner, but she's almost invisible because she dared to get older. She goes to extreme lengths with an incredibly dangerous method, the substance, because she misses being adored and valued. In incredibly gross body horror sequences, Sue, the young hot ingenue, is born from Elizabeth's spine, and bit by bit she disrespects the balance of time between the two and draws more and more of her stabilizer spine fluid, and Elizabeth feels the life drain away from her. Her beauty, in this instance, where beauty essentially is life, is value. Still, Elizabeth allows it to happen because of what Sue represents and the draw she has. She devastatingly views her as the only lovable part she has left. To sum up, the balance continues to be disrespected, and things go about as badly as they can.
Oh, yeah.
Women deserve better. Our value should not be dependent on how much men want to have sex with us. And yet, the weird world of The Substance is uncomfortably close to the world we actually live in. That's it.
Wow.
I didn't want to spoil it too bad, but, there's probably going to be spoilers in this, so.
Right. So if you enjoy the podcast and this is the first time you're listening, but you haven't seen The Substance,
go watch
it. Hit pause, go watch it, and then come back.
No, just listen to this all. Watch it, then listen to it again. Then rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts.
You can rate on other podcasts, too.
Then send me $5.
That's fair.
Is that too much? Let's think about that.
Okay.
Without spoiling it hardcore, this movie focuses heavily on discomfort, from Sue watching a billboard of herself be torn down, of men treating her like refuse, of her accomplishments being washed away like they're nothing, to the much more tangible discomfort of the extremes she went to maintain relevancy and life. The gore in the movie is truly horrifying, but it's all apt. It had to be horror. No other genre depicts the unique pain of being valued for only your beauty and only your sex appeal, for it to be inevitably drawn away, and for you yourself to deeply believe your fleeting attractiveness is the only thing that matters about you. You may have noticed that I liked this movie and connected to it a lot. I can only speak to my own experience. I can't speak to anyone else's, but I do feel that it is pretty universal, where if you're public facing in any way, you have an expiration date. And when you stop looking, and you may want to bleep me out, when you stop being fuckable, you don't matter anymore. No one wants to look at you. No one wants to listen to you. No one respects what you have to say or what you've done. And it's scary. I mean, I started in broadcast news, which ostensibly should be less shallow. It isn't. I've been scared of this my whole career. And I've been told that things are different now, millennials are going to want to hear from other millennials. But I mean, I don't know that I believe that. I don't know that I believe that we are greater than the curse of shallowness of only caring about physical beauty. I don't think that's true.
It's an issue that we can all, as a society, try to do better and say that it's getting better. But you still kind of see it. And the way I can relate to it, coming from the world of music, like everybody wants the next new best thing.
Sure. It's one of those fields where it's what's hot and nothing else matters.
Getting to a certain point in your career so that you become a legacy artist. That's sort of like what everyone hopes for, because sooner or later you have a shelf life as a musician. People aren't always going to want to hear what you have to say unless you're like one of those top 0.0001%.
I mean, yeah, the music industry is not something I understand at all. And you do have that point of view that I don't. It's it's scary to exist in these worlds where the fleetingness of youth is the most valuable asset you have, because it will end. It will end for everyone. And it's scary. And there's no way around it. That's the scary part. So when we see Elizabeth in this movie resort to incredibly painful, gruesome scenes, I see why she did it, because she felt like she was nothing, Sure. It's like the scene that everybody points to when she's scrubbing off the makeup, getting ready for that date.
Just about to bring that up, because another friend of mine brought that up, and she goes, I think every woman in the world can relate to that scene.
I've done it before. I mean, I didn't smush my makeup around, but I've gone, I can't go out like this. I can't go out. I can't go. I'm not going. And then you just don't go, and you cut yourself off because you don't want to make a bad show. You don't want to have a bad appearance, because people, their eyes are always on you and they're always judging you, and it's scary and it's hurtful. And I guess that's the high stakes you enter when you choose to make I guess that's something you go through when you choose to have the spotlight in any way. Is you're going to be very, very self-conscious.
Yeah. Look, I can't begin to say that I understand fully in the same way that you do the character of Elizabeth, but I think as someone who has performed on stage, I know that feeling that you always want to get back, right? There's Whoopi Goldberg as Guinan described it in Star Trek Generations. She described the Nexus as it's a feeling of pure joy, and when you're ripped away from it, all you want to do is get back.
And that sounds like doing drugs.
Well, to me, though, that's also being on stage.
I know, but it's like I'm connecting it back to the movie,
gotcha.
In a way. But it is kind of that way. I know we all chase highs in different way. Like today I spoke to an engineer, and she was telling me the high of a successful project or experiment, it's something I'm always chasing. But when our value is tied to beauty, it's hard, because it's a losing game. You cannot win. You can't. And that's something that's extremely prevalent.
I had a question about the characters between Lizzie and Sue.
So you call her Lizzie?
Don't they call her that at some?
You guys are tight?
We're tight. I thought they called her that later, though.
I think some people do.
Okay.
Yeah, some characters do, rather.
So I'll call her Elizabeth. I called her Elizabeth first, and then I was just
You
trying
can call her whatever you like.
All right.
I'm just teasing you.
I'm feeling a little like I'm sweating over here.
Is it because I started yelling?
Yeah, kind of. I'm a little nervous. A little nervous over here.
Well, just to be clear, we are friends. We're not fighting with each other. No one is devaluing each other. We are just speaking to our own experiences and our own reactions.
Yeah. My question, though, is do you think that each character between Elizabeth and Sue, were they conscious of what the other was doing? Do they have a memory? So, like, at first, when they're respecting the balance, 7 days on, 7 days off, did Elizabeth know what Sue was doing at the time, and did Sue know what Elizabeth was doing at the time?
Subconsciously. I mean, there's a scene where Sue thinks she sees the chicken that Elizabeth ate in her ass.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah. So they're not like watching over each other's shoulder or riding as a passive passenger, let's say, like in Get Out. But they're kind of aware of what's going on.
Right.
Unfortunately, they do view themselves as separate individuals, even though they're told over and over, you are one. You are one. There is no her. She is you.
Yeah. So do you think that when Sue woke up for the first time that she woke up with all of Elizabeth's memories?
No. She doesn't have any of Elizabeth's memories.
Okay.
She just has kind of
An
echo or a shadow of what's going on. But
okay.
I view her as an almost separate consciousness. I feel them as like touching consciousnesses, but not the same and not totally devoid.
Now, who do you think were these people behind the substance? Who, like, are they supposed to represent anything? Are we supposed to figure that out? Is it a mystery, or is it just...
I don't think it matters.
That's society.
I mean, I guess it's part... The impetus of the substance is society, which is that you got to be young, you got to be hot, you got to pump it up, you got to, stick your ass out. When we met the other character who was Elizabeth's, let's say, nurse, maybe medical assistant, he looked very different. Right. But I think that's the inevitable path for someone who does the substance. Is it doesn't lead to joy that you're seeking. It doesn't lead to the return to glory or the relevancy. It leads to sadness ultimately.
And it accelerates it to a crazy amount. Now, why do you think he recruited her?
Because he saw something in her that he felt in himself. And he doesn't know that the answer is disaster either. He thinks it's a good thing.
Well, until she meets him later, she meets his alter ego in the diner later.
Yeah, but he doesn't care. You'll note he'll be like, yeah, it happens. That's kind of his vibe of, oh, has she started to do this?
Right, yeah. She started to eat away at you yet.
Yeah. I guess he's becoming kind of a self-hater in a way where it's like, yeah, it's going to happen, but the glory of the hot time is worth it. And she kind of gets that way too, where when she considers killing Sue and she doesn't, and she cries because she says, you're the most lovable thing about me. And it's so tragic because she was so lovable before, and she had the Harveys of the world treating her terribly, like that scene where he's eating the shrimp. Yeah. This movie was such a good food movie, and that food was used well. Where it's one of the most disgusting scenes, and there's no body horror happening. He's just slurping it, dipping in the sauce, getting it everywhere. He calls to someone behind Sue. Like, you can tell this is a man who consumes and doesn't care about how it affects anyone else or who he hurts. Right. And he is the villain of the movie, not the makers of the substance. They're a result of people like him.
And that's Dennis Quaid, by the way. He does a great job as an asshole.
He filled in for Ray Liotta after he passed. Oh. Apparently, Ray had shot many scenes already, and they had to redo them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. He would have been great at it, too, I'm sure.
Ray would have been amazing. But Dennis Quaid, also amazing. I mean, I understood how loathsome this character was. Mm-hmm. And he did it. He delivered.
And did you say, was his name Harvey?
Yeah.
That's
absolutely on purpose, Jason.
I don't think that was a
Before
coincidence.
you ask, that's absolutely on purpose.
I wasn't going to ask.
Okay.
Oh, man.
But, as sad and wild as the ending is, that's the only way it could go. Where you crave something that is always eluding you, and you live in this society that has taught you that that's what you have to do. Mm-hmm. When we went to that last scene, there was a little girl there watching these topless people all over the place, and nobody cared. But as soon as it was gross, they covered the little girl's eyes. What does that say to you?
Right.
And by gross, I mean ugly.
Yeah.
Not pretty. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we're all bad. Society is bad. Let's fix it. Oh, wait, we can't.
Yeah, well, we just have to ride the surfboard of doom, I guess.
Yeah. Are you talking about the new Doctor Doom and the Silver Surfer?
Maybe I'm alluding to that, but who knows? We'll see.
You're not.
Am I not?
We'll get to that later.
Well, I did portray Doctor Doom in a video game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Marvel Super War.
Cool.
So
I worked on 2 Marvel mobile games. I almost said Marvel Mobile.
that's right.
That's right, I did.
You told me about that.
All right. Well, we have to wrap this up. I will say, again, this was an extremely unusual Oscar movie, but I am glad it was nominated, and I'm glad it had its star, Demi Moore, star vehicle for her, and I'm glad she got as many awards as she did, and I don't think it deserved to win Best Picture, but I thought it was still very worthy. I mean, we're talking about superlatives here.
Right.
And among the greats is amazing as an achievement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of Coralie Fargeau. Again, this is just a brief overview of how we felt about the substance. This is not a full review and not a full recap, much like we meant to do this time around. Though if you like the longer recaps, please let us know.
Yeah. And, I will say I did like the absurdity of the whole thing in the sense that, like, at a certain point at the beginning of the film, I was trying to grasp, like, what era is this? What year are they in? None of that mattered.
Doesn't matter.
Only because she was teaching that aerobics class, right? And I'm like, well, you don't really see that on TV anymore, but it was in sort of an alternate universe. And then the absurdity of the end with the blood splattering everywhere and all, and not to put that too much, but that was like, at that point I realized, oh, nothing before matters, just the message of the movie mattered.
Well, the hyperrealism is to show you this is not exactly tethered in reality, but the message shows you that it kind of is.
Yeah.
The Substance is Coralie Fargeau's second film after Revenge. I have seen Revenge. It is crazy gross.
All right, I need to see that.
It's really gross.
Okay.
I think she will continue to make poignant movies about body horror and women.
If that's her, if that's her lane, then, she's doing an awesome job.
Yeah. Well, I think horror is the place to do these kinds of things, to have this kind of shocking imagery tied to a message that is less shocking. It really drives it home. And I do love the moment that we are having right now with horror.
Yeah, it's really great. Like just the way generations change and the way I guess the Academy has changed to where they're, acknowledging horror more and more. And it's a category that, we've all accepted, and and it's a thing that thrives. So why not acknowledge it at the highest, supposedly the highest, awards of the land, right?
Well, just to tie a bow on that, Anora won Best Picture. More or less till the end, I've heard it's pretty much a rom-com.
Okay.
Is it now rom-com season?
I hope not.
Well, I mean, the last time one scored really this big at the Oscars was Annie Hall. And how long ago was that? So is it time for rom-coms to have a resurgence, or are we still in the horror era? Let us know in your email to introskipperspod@gmail.com. I'll just say review, and I was like, no, that's not a good place for it.
I think people can leave comments some places, right?
Just if you don't feel like leaving 5 stars, I would say please just email us. All right, and that does it for this episode of Intro Skippers. This was the first one we recorded after launching. You guys don't know, but we've recorded quite a few that aren't out yet.
And they'll probably be out next week.
Soon. Yeah, we're trying to balance between more recent stuff, older stuff, and new stuff.
Right. Actually, a friend of yours said we were like in the middle, right?
Yeah.
We're not reviewing,
It's not hardcore nostalgia, but it's also not bleeding edge. It's a celebration of things that are there, that are present right now. And that's the way he saw it. Is that what it is?
Well, tell us in the emails.
You tell us in the emails.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Intro Skippers with Jason Charles Miller and Kim Horcher is produced and edited by Kim Horcher and Jason Charles Miller. The name order doesn't really matter. Additional writing by Kim Horcher. Theme song and incidental music by Jason Charles Miller. Take it away, Jason! You can rate and review this show, 5 stars only please, anywhere you'd like, and you might find your review read on a future episode. Got a question? Email us at introskipperspod@gmail.com. That too could be featured on a future episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Intro Skippers on your favorite podcast platform, but preferably one we're actually on. All right, thanks for getting this far. Here's a special treat just for you. A pro tip. If you get a text from the toll road saying you owe them money, no, you didn't.